Now let's look at the other big player in the region, the United States of America. What are they up to? President Joe Biden has been making many statements. His Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is in Israel as we speak. They've deployed their biggest warship. They've sent a plane full of critical ammunition. But what is America's game plan? And this is very important because the US is Israel's closest ally. No matter who is president in Washington, no matter who is prime minister in Jerusalem, this relationship has stood the test of time. So it's no surprise that the US has professed unconditional support to Israel. All senior officials have condemned the Hamas attack. They've said that Israel is right to defend itself. Yesterday, President Biden went a step further. He brought up the Holocaust. Listen to this.
This attack was a campaign of pure cruelty, not just hate, but pure cruelty against the Jewish people. And I would argue it's the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
In absolute number terms, he may have a point. Israel has fought multiple wars since the nation-state was formed in 1948. It has been surrounded by hostile neighbors. It has withstood attacks and fought wars. It has also suffered many casualties over the years. But nothing matched the brutality, the scale and the suddenness of what we saw on Saturday. Hence President Biden's statement. But he isn't just spouting emotional rhetoric. The US president has also put a plan in motion. Broadly, we can break the US response into 4 parts. The first part is providing material support to Israel. Here is what it entails.
We're surging additional military assistance to the Israeli Defense Force, including ammunition, interceptors to replenish the Iron Dome.
Now, these supplies have started arriving and more are on the way. The US is currently relying on its existing budget to send weapons. Washington says it has enough for both Israel and Ukraine in the short term, but that may not last very long. So the Biden administration is also making an appeal to the US Congress, trying to squeeze out more funds for all the wars. That's the first thing that the US is doing. The second is intimidating Israel's enemies. There's some serious muscle flexing going on here.
We've moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region, and made it clear to the Iranians, be careful.
The USS Gerald R. Ford strike group has now arrived in the Eastern Mediterranean. As President Biden has said, for any country, for any organization, for anyone thinking about trying to take advantage of the agony in Israel, to try to widen this conflict or to try to spill more blood, we have just one word: don't.
The USS Gerald Ford is the world's biggest and most advanced warship. It's been deployed to help Israel, and it won't be the only US aircraft carrier in the region. Reports say the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is also heading here on Friday. Meanwhile, American aircraft are heading to US military bases in West Asia. So the message is clear: the US has Israel's back. This is the message from Washington, and it is aimed at specific players here: at Iran, at the Hezbollah, and at any other enemies of Israel. If anyone interferes, the US will strike. This is part 2 of the American strategy. Part 3 and 4 are diplomatic. Today, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel, and he is here to show solidarity. He met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He also told him that the US is not going anywhere. It was a powerful show of support. But that's not the only reason that Blinken is in Israel. He'll also be working diplomatic back channels to help innocent Palestinians caught in Gaza. As we keep saying, Hamas is not Palestine. Hamas have effectively held innocent Palestinians hostage in Gaza. And these people need to get out of the besieged strip. The US is working to open up a refugee corridor.
Let me just say right up front, we're actively discussing this with our Israeli and our Egyptian counterparts. We support safe passage for civilians. The civilians are not to blame for what Hamas has done. They didn't do anything wrong, and we continue to support safe passage.
Talks with Egypt are shaky. Reports say Cairo does not want an influx of refugees, but there's no other way out for the people of Gaza. It's either Egypt or the Mediterranean. So Blinken is here to iron out this refugee corridor issue. But that isn't the only diplomatic mission that he has. Part 4 of the US response is hostage negotiations.
Finally, we're of course very focused on our own people, our own citizens. We lost 22 Americans that number could still go up, and it probably will. At the same time, we have a number of Americans who remain unaccounted. We are working very closely with the government of Israel to determine their whereabouts, and if they have been taken hostage by Hamas, to work to secure their release.
How many American hostages have Hamas taken? The U.S. is not sure. So far, they say 17 Americans remain unaccounted for. Not all of them are believed to be hostages, but this number could go up. It's a rapidly changing situation in Israel, which is why Biden has sent his top diplomat Blinken to secure the hostages. So these are the 4 parts of the U.S. strategy: support, intimidation, helping refugees, and retrieving the hostages. There's a lot of work to be done, and it has to be done fast, because every moment passed means higher risk for innocent lives.